Welcome back, garden enthusiasts. This is From Seed to Pantry. In the last episode, we talked about planting your square foot garden. Today, we're going to be diving into one of the most exciting parts of gardening, starting your seeds indoors. Whether you're a complete beginner or an experienced gardener, this guide will help you grow strong, healthy plants right from the start. Let's get growing. So why start your seeds indoors? First off, it's going to give your plants a head start, especially if you live in a cold climate like I do. Second, it's going to be more cost efficient, and you're going to have a wider variety of vegetables than what's available to you at your local hardware store or nursery. Alright, so what are you going to need to get started planting your seedlings inside? First off, you're going to need some type of grow medium. What I've used in the past are these seed starting greenhouse kits that have these peat pellets here. You'll flood the whole tray with these with water. Wait 5-10 minutes, and these peat pods will expand about 2 to 3 inches, and you plant your seedlings directly in them. Other choices is you have these seed starting trays. This one's a regular plastic one, and then this one is a reusable one. It's got a little bit more sturdy material and has these silicone bottoms that make it easier for remove the seedlings. The only thing that I don't like about these reusable ones is they don't come with a humidity dome, where the greenhouse kit and this other seed starting kit have a humidity dome you can put on top of it. I have plenty of other humidity domes I can use, so that's not a problem for me. But if you are going to buy these reusable ones, know that you'll have to buy a humidity dome separately. So if you're not going to use the peat pods for starting, you're going to need some type of soil. So there's two different types of soil I recommend. Either the seed starting mix, you can buy any seed starting mix, this is just the one that I happen to find in the local store, or an indoor potting mix. The reason why you want to use these types of soils to start your seedlings is they've been sanitized to eliminate any diseases or bugs that may be in your normal outdoor soil. Second, you're going to need some labels. Make sure you label each one of your plants so you know what you planted each one of the cells. You'll need a water source, so some type of watering can. Next, you're going to need a light source. So if you have a south-facing window that gets 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight, and not just sunny, it's got to be to the point where if you sit in front of the window for 6 to 8 hours, you're going to get warm. If you have that, you can put your seedlings directly in front of that, and that'll be good enough for a light source. I don't have that, so I use grow lights that I've set up. And when you set up your grow lights, you want the lights to be 2 to 3 inches above the seedlings. Next, you're going to need a heat mat. It's not essential for all plants, but if you're going to grow tomatoes and peppers, these are essential. So what you do is you set these underneath your seed trays, and they're going to warm the soil up to about 75 to 80 degrees. They're going to help all your plants germinate, but for tomatoes and peppers, they won't germinate without the heat. They are a heat-loving plant, so without the heat mat, you're going to have a really hard time getting your tomatoes to germinate. And then last but not least, you're going to need seeds. And those are all the things you're going to need to get started going on your seedlings. All right, now that we have all of our supplies gathered up, let's actually fill our trays. So we're going to first start by pouring the dry seed starting mix into a bowl. That should be sufficient there. And as you see here, this stuff's pretty dry right now, so we're going to want to add some moisture to this prior to putting it into our cells. So add some water. You want to be pretty liberal with this. This is going to absorb a lot of moisture, and then just kind of work it with our hands until you get all that water absorbed into the soil. It should thicken up for you. It shouldn't be so light and fluffy at that point. And you can feel it like the consistency of like dirt that you'd pull out of the ground, and not so fluffy. Then you know you got enough moisture in there. Okay, I'm just going to work this a little bit more. And that's about the consistency I want. As you can see, it kind of crumbles in my hands. It's got some moisture in it. All right, now we're going to take this, we're going to put it in our cells. So you want to fill these cells almost to the top, and you want to compress them down. So you want to fill them almost all the way to the top. Okay, you can kind of see here, if you look here, that they're almost all the way to the top. That's about how you want them. And then we'll continue to do this for the rest of the 36 cells. Alright, now I have a 36 cell tray filled with dirt. Now I'm going to poke some holes into them so I can plant my seeds. So you want to look at the back of the seed packet. So on the back of the seed packet here, it'll tell you your ideal temperature, how long it takes to sprout, and what we care about right here is the seed depth. So we want this, I'm doing these onion seeds here. So these want a 1/4 inch seed depth. So take the center of these, poke a small hole, about a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch isn't very deep, so just a small hole, each one of these cells. And I'm starting 20 onions, so I'm going to do this for 20 of them. That's 18, 19, 20. Okay, so I got my holes for my onion seeds. So as you can see, the onion seeds are pretty small. They're not much bigger than like a poppy seed. So I usually put them into a little container to make them easy to grab. You want to put 2 to 3 seeds per hole, and you do that in case one of the seeds doesn't germinate, that you make sure you have an onion in each one of the cells, and then as they sprout and get bigger, we'll thin them out. Or if you really want a lot of them, you can split them. So I'm going to take 2 to 3 seeds per hole, stick them in there. And putting these in a small container makes it easier to grab a hold of these seeds so they're not sliding around. Okay, and I'm just going to do one row just to kind of show you guys, and then you're going to want to cover these up. So kind of fill the holes over, make sure that they're completely covered in the soil. And most important thing, put your labels on. So these are onions, so I'm going to put my onion labels in them, because especially early on when they're sprouting, they all kind of look the same. So you want to make sure you label each one of the cells with what's in it, so later on when you're transplanting them into bigger pots, you know exactly what is in each cell. Okay, now I have all my seedlings in their tray. They're all properly labeled. Before I put them underneath the grow lamp, I want to give them one more final watering. So just kind of give them a liberal watering here. Let it soak through. Just make sure that they have enough moisture to start here. It's going to take a minute for them to soak through. I'll do this with both trays. And you're going to want to let this sit for a minute or so. Let that go all the way through. After you do this initial watering, it'll probably be a week or two before you need to water them again. Initially, they don't need a ton of water to start with. So after you let them sit for a minute, you're going to want to take these out of the trays they're in. And then any of the excess water that's in them, you want to get rid of. You don't want them sitting in this water. It'll rot the roots there. And you'll probably kill your seedlings. So, okay, move that over here. As you see, there's quite a bit of water in the tray. You want to empty that out. Okay. All right, now we'll set these back in the tray. Take another quick look. Okay, those are good. So now we're going to put these underneath our grow lamps. Okay. There's that one. And there's that one. Okay. All right. So I have this grow lamp set up about 2 to 3 inches above the seedlings. And now I'm going to put my humidity dome on top. This is going to help lock in the moisture inside the seedling cells and give them the best chance of germinating. Also underneath these trays I have a heat mat that'll help warm the soil up and encourage germination. You're going to want to keep this humidity dome on until half or more of your seedlings have sprouted. I usually like to wait until they're almost touching the top of the humidity dome before I take them off. So what type of seeds can we start this time of year? So if you live in zone 6 or 5, you can start any of your cool weather plants, anything that is frost hardy. If you don't know if it's frost hardy, you can look at your back of your seed packet and it'll tell you whether it's frost hardy. So things that are typically frost hardy are broccoli, lettuce, celery, onions. Carrots and peas are also frost hardy, but you don't want to start those inside. You want to direct sow those because they don't like to be transplanted. When are you going to plant these outside? Probably, if you're in zone 6B like I am, probably about mid-April once the snow's gone. For everything else that's not frost hardy, your tomatoes, your peppers, your squashes, stuff like that, you're going to want to wait till mid to late May to plant those outside, and you'll start the seeds about 8 weeks prior to your last frost date. If you don't know what your last frost date is, you can Google hardness zone and your zip code. It will pull up what your hardness zone is. It'll pull up what your last frost date is. So about 12 weeks prior to your last frost date, you can start any of these cool weather plants like I'm doing now. And then 8 weeks prior to your last frost date, you can start your things that are not frost tolerant. So we want to keep the grow lamps on for 8 to 12 hours. Make sure they're on a timer. And then 1 to 2 weeks, you'll start to see sprouts of our seedlings. And there you have it. Starting vegetable seeds is simple, fun, and incredibly rewarding. If you found this video helpful, please like it, subscribe, and leave in the comments what you plan on growing this season. On the next episode from Seed to Pantry, we'll be checking in on our seedlings, and I'll be talking about how to clean and sanitize your flower and vegetable pots from last season. Until next time, happy gardening.